Wow. This roasted razor wing looks to be truly divine. You really must remember to commend the chef savant for this meal. Simply incredible. He really has outdone himself yet again. The delivery? Impeccable. The razor wing is brought forth by humming floating cherubs, their delicate white feather wings gently flapping as they glide towards you. These small artificial angels glide with pure grace, their bionic eyes vacant and their expressions serene. Two cherubs hover before you, holding a dish aloft as if it were a sacred offering to the Emperor himself. Their tiny, delicate hands lower the platter with the utmost care, placing it carefully before you. With a lover's gentleness, one cherub drapes a cloth across your lap, while another cherub, its wings fluttering gently, tucks a napkin into your collar. The cherubs retreat as silently as they arrived, their wings beating softly as they glide back to their stations atop the white stone columns that line your grand dining hall. Your guests and courtiers, none of whom appear day over 110, sit arrayed around the enormous dining table. Each one is a model of youthful elegance, their appearances preserved through the most advanced rejuvenation treatments that imperial wealth and influence can buy. At their sides hover their own cherubs, each delivering impressive meals with the same gentle grace. The presentation? Immaculate. A delicate balance of colour and form that pleases the eye even before the first bite. The bird lies on a polished silver platter, engraved with the heraldry of your family, surrounded by garnishes of rare herbs and exotic fruits cultivated in the biodomes high above the polluted surface of this world. The portion size? Perfect, generous enough to satisfy, but not so large as to overwhelm. The aroma is intoxicating, a rich blend of exotic spices harvested from distant agri-worlds mingling with the rich, smoky essence of roasted meat. The gentle hum of conversation filling the air becomes slowly punctuated by the occasional clink of fine crystal and silverware. Each member of your party, resplendent in their powdered wigs of elaborately rolled human hair, gem-encrusted implants, and magnificent finery, has now become totally absorbed in the pleasure of the meal. Golden knives glide effortlessly through roasted flesh before chunks of this incredible luxury are speared with golden forks and raised to eager mouths. Tiny bones are crushed with delight, nuts and fruit are devoured in abundance, while wine flows like a river, its ruby red streams filling goblets and staining lips. You can't restrain yourself any longer and prepare to indulge yourself. You forsake the golden cutlery arrayed before you and grab the bird tenderly with your bejeweled fingers, feeling the warmth and crisp texture beneath your touch. You bring it fully to your open, salivating mouth, savouring the rich scents that waft from its perfectly seared skin. As you take your first bite, the skin cracks crisply, releasing a scalding rush of rich, fatty juices that dribble down your chin. The meat is tender, a symphony of flavours that dance across your taste buds, each bite a wondrous blend of textures. You chew slowly, savouring the layers of flavour, nutty undertones, a hint of sweetness, and the slight tang of amasec marinated into the flesh. You swallow. You bite down again with a satisfying crunch, thin avian bones shattering under your teeth. Pain and delight intermingle as sharp fragments prick your gums, introducing a new coppery taste mingling with the bird's dark meat. As you swallow this time, you draw in the head and beak which had been hanging from your lips and crush the skull of the bird under your molars with great satisfaction. Bite, swallow, this rhythm of indulgence continues until finally the last morsel disappears and a deep contentment settles over you. You delicately lick your lips before reaching for the fine nightweave silk napkin that still rests across your lap to gently pat the corners of your mouth. You pick up your goblet, a delicate piece of art crafted from crystal and gold, filled with a vintage that could pay for a small frigate. You swirl the glass in your hand, watching the red liquid whirlpool inside and slowly bleed from the sides of the cup. You take a sip. The wine's flavour is complex, a fiery dance of fruit and oak that complements the razorwing's robust taste. You take another sip, feeling the warmth spread through your chest, a perfect counterpoint to the chill of the night air gently billowing in from the open balcony at the southern end of your dining hall. You drain the goblet before excusing yourself from the table, and 2 young servants quickly move to pull out your dining throne. As you stand, they offer their support, their hands hovering just close enough to catch you should you falter. You ignore their attentions and dismiss them with a wave of your hand and a roll of your eyes. You head to the open balcony, your steps purposeful and confident. As you stroll past your still-seated guests, your smile is disarmingly warm. A wink here, a casual joke or compliment there, your demeanour is a perfect display of charm and confidence. Heads turn to follow your progress and glasses raised in silent toasts as you pass, your guests' eyes burning with admiration and desire. Yes, you will love me, you think. They always do. How can they not love you? Your charm and influence is like a second skin, an armor as effective as any crafted by those red-robed Martians. But beneath your smiling exterior, a deep and weary sense of contempt festers. You can just hear the wheels turning behind those courteous smiles and raised glasses, the endless plots and subtle plays for power in the works of the minds of these parasites. How exhausting it all is, this endless dance of deception and pretense. Every gesture, every word carefully calculated to maintain a delicate balance of favour and influence. Beneath the show of elegance and civility, the court is a true pit of vipers, each one of these snakes ready to strike at you at the first sign of weakness. But you are not weak, and everything is proceeding as planned. You pass a row of waiting, impeccably dressed servants, their posture and attention as perfect as that of any military parade. Each one stands rigid, eyes unfocused, and faces devoid of emotion, a testament to their thorough training and indoctrination. Most of these servants, whose names you know none of, have been serving you since the age of 10 and 2. They are good servants. They respect you. They love you. Perhaps, truly. You have been good to them. You have offered them neurosupplements, nutrient infusions, and have always tried your best to ensure their rest hours are generous. Truly, your generosity knows no bounds. You've given them purpose. You allow them to exist within the safety of your shadow, shielding them from the chaos and brutality of the world beneath. You have made yourself their savior, their protector, their god, in a manner of speaking. Without you, they would be nothing. Just another nameless, faceless ghost scavenging in the gutter. Now that you think about it, you really should demand more from them, considering how fortunate their situation is. Perhaps it is time to revisit the terms of their service. After all, your bedchambers have been awfully empty these last few nights. Yes, tomorrow you will summon your steward to discuss this. In the corner by the balcony you slowly approach, a small raised dais hosts a single exquisitely modified servitor. The servitor's form is a grotesque masterpiece, a fusion of art and abomination. Its vocal cords, a web of synthetic tendrils and cybernetic implants pouring from its gaping mouth, hum a smooth melody that adds a note of subtle elegance to the evening. Its face is a grotesque patchwork of metal and flesh, surgical scars crisscrossing its features like the mad etchings of a deranged artist. Tubes and wires snake from its skull, and its hands boast delicate, multi-jointed fingers that dance across an instrument with 12 strings. Its spine, a mix of exposed metal and grey flesh, arches as it performs. In places where sinew and bone have been replaced by cold gleaming alloys, the spine has been engineered and studded with precision-drilled holes to function as some semi-organic woodwind instrument. The servitor's remaining organic eye glints with an unsettling expressiveness. It holds an eerie, almost horrific sadness, a gaze that seems too aware, too human. You make a mental note to have it serviced by a tech adept. You'll order the remaining eye removed. It puts you on edge for some reason. You step out onto the balcony, the gentle breeze a welcome relief against the stifling atmosphere inside. The air is cold and crisp, carrying with it a faint hint of staleness, a lingering reminder of the atmospheric scrubbers working tirelessly beneath your estate. You lean against the marble railing as you gaze out over your sprawling estate. Below you, beneath the manicured gardens, crystal walkways and golden gazebos, the hive city unfolds like a great and endless tangled mess of metal and flickering lights. Even from this lofty perch among the clouds, the base and edges of the hive city remain shrouded in the smog and sprawl below, lost to your sight. The sheer magnitude of it all is simultaneously awe-inspiring and stomach-churning. Yet, the hive beneath you is yours to command. This chaotic, stinking beast, with its tangled network of alleyways and towering structures, is a creature you can tame. With just a few more alliances, with just a few more guards and supporters, a few more bribes, seductions and tedious dinners, you could extend your dominion over all that lies within your sight. You could become a paragon of power in this world. You could show your worth to the other nobles and demonstrate the true potential of your rule, and by extension, the potential of your people. You nod to yourself, a self-satisfied smile curling on your lips as you straighten your back and rest your hands on the cool, reassuring stone of the railing. This is your domain, your hive, your life, and for tonight, all is proceeding as it should. Elegance, pleasure, politics. These are the key tenets in the life of a noble or highborn in the Imperium of man. Elegance is the mask of power, the carefully constructed facade that conceals the underlying cruelty all too common at such lofty heights. It is the mask of wealth and status, presented in every elaborate stitch of attire, every forced smile, and every opulent meal served at over-the-top gatherings of powder-faced clones. It is the polished veneer of public persona, a shallow display of faux intellectualism designed to inspire awe and command respect from those beneath you, both literally and metaphorically. Pleasure is the indulgence of rank, the opulent excesses that divide the highborn from the squalor of the small folk. It is the luxurious banquets overflowing with exotic delicacies, the extravagant entertainments and hedonistic diversions that reinforce the disparity between the highborn and those who labour endlessly forgotten in the shadows. Politics is the eternal pursuit of power, authority, and influence. It is the web of negotiations, deals, betrayals, and stratagems that define the existence of one of noble birth. For nobles, politics is the art of maneuvering through a landscape mired with rivalries, grudges, and grand ambitions, where every gesture, every word, every promise, and every rumour carries the weight of potential gain or loss. It is the constant shadow war for control and dominance, where every action is calculated to advance one's position and to undermine all those who threaten it. So, what is a noble, you may ask? Well, the Lex defines a noble as one born to the sacred bloodlines of the Imperium, anointed by heritage and consecrated by what is known as a writ of nobility. They are the aristocrats, the highborn, the princes and lords of cities, the rulers of worlds, and the governors of star systems. To be a noble in the Imperium is to be the epitome of power and privilege, but it is also to be a symbol of knowledge, of progress, of tradition and authority. As Ophelius Dalinor explains on the nature of aristocracy, to be an aristocrat is to exist in a higher state of being, without a doubt. Each of us is born to realize one supreme purpose, to lead humanity to perfection through our example, perfection which the lesser beings have forgotten in the endless cycle of war and service. Only by attending to their physical, intellectual, and spiritual needs can an aristocrat fully devote themselves to that for which they were born, creative passions, whether that be the fine arts, the written word, government, or other more refined spheres of worldly knowledge. An aristocrat's passion is in itself a virtue and the highest good. An aristocrat must satisfy these needs by any means open to them. Nothing stimulates a weary mind like fine amasec, a good flogging, or enjoyment of carnal pleasures with women, men, and animals. In the thrill of passion, an aristocrat is at liberty to torture or maim the object of their desire. If the clergy frown upon such an act, repent, atone for the apostasy with jewels, and forgive them their closed minds, for only an aristocrat is given to understand that such acts are in service of a grand purpose. Should an aristocrat deliberately curtail their own desires in some way and fail to appreciate the gifts granted them as one of nature's higher beings, then in what way do they differ from the dust beneath one's feet, from the mindless beast, or from the crude, deceitful, useless rabble? Such a pretender is an agonizing stain on our noble society, and it behooves every true aristocrat to return our lost brother to the fold, or to stamp out his contemptible life as gladly as we might crush a vexatious bug beneath our boot. So that all sounded a bit too Slaneshi for me, so let's dial it back a bit and really try to digest what Ophelius, who is clearly a noble or aristocrat himself, was getting at here. The Highborn clearly consider themselves more than just rulers or disgustingly wealthy individuals. They believe they are the personification of an unbroken lineage that traces back to the founding of the Imperium. They view themselves as being born to lead humanity to perfection through their example, a perfection that the perceived unwashed masses have seemingly forgotten. Their daily lives are evidence to this belief and are filled with rituals and formalities that aim to reinforce their supreme purpose. Greatness is an inherent expectation, a quality demanded by the weight of their bloodline. Nobles are groomed from birth to outwardly embody the virtues of leadership, wisdom, and faith. Their education, a journey through the highest echelons of knowledge and strategy imparted by the finest tutors and scholars the Imperium can offer. They are versed in the classics of high Gothic literature, the intricacies of political strategy, the tedium of textbook etiquette, and often the sacred rites of the imperial cult. Such education and training is not merely for personal development, it is far more a performance for their subjects. A demonstration that they are the rightful stewards of humanity's fate, as Ophelius points out. Their authority is often absolute and unchallenged, supported by a complex web of patronage, loyalty, and fear. Their word can elevate a commoner to power or condemn a troublemaker to ruin. They command incredible resources, wielding armies, fleets, and entire planetary economies as instruments of their will. But that's not to say that such incredible wealth and power is universal among the nobles of the Imperium. Rather, it is a mistake to believe that all of them are dripping with riches. Bad alliances, marriages of convenience that rot into bitter resentment, deals brokered in the shadow of desperation, and promises made under duress, these are the pitfalls that can undo even the mightiest of houses. Betrayal is a wound most inflicted by supposed friends, and bad investments, well, even a noble's coin can vanish into the void, lost to the black holes of failed ventures, or squandered in the pursuit of greater imagined riches. And so it happens. A noble family, once incredibly wealthy, finds itself clinging to the hollow trappings of rank, their titles now little more than echoes. They are left with grand estates that mirror mausoleums and monuments to past glories that are now simply ghosts of what once was. For such nobles, there is no real money or opportunity left, only the crushing weight of debt and the fear of creditors and debt collectors. To be a noble in the Imperium is also to navigate the complex relationship of virtue and sin that defines their grand, if dangerous, station. As Ophelius explained, the nobility of the Imperium are granted a unique license to indulge in the most primal urges. This lifestyle of unrestrained indulgence is not just a personal choice, but a deliberate expression of their belief in their right to rule. The nobility believe it is their right, perhaps even their destiny, to experience the full breadth of life's pleasures, to push the boundaries of opulence, and to revel in the power that such indulgence signifies. A great display of such power is recounted in the chronicles of Inquisitor Eisenhorn, where one Lord Commander Helican radically altered the climate of an entire world on a whim. By cultivating hundreds of artificial rainstorms and using other atmospheric cleansing methods, he cleared the pollution from the sky, all to ensure that the sun would be shining down on his parade. Helican held little interest in the consequences of such methods, poisoning the earth and seas for generations, triggering reactive hurricanes, and overwhelming the drainage systems of the primary hives as a result of the induced rainfall. Inside the wasteful luxury that defines the life of a noble lies a clear, underlying cruelty. The indulgences of the nobles come at a great cost, paid in the suffering of those beneath them. Entire factories, hives, or perhaps even planets labor endlessly to produce the goods and luxuries that sustain their way of life. And their grand visions and shows of power are designed and executed with no thought to the cascading effects of such actions on their subjects. The pain and sweat of billions, if not trillions, fuel the lavish lifestyles of a privileged few, a fact that the nobility rarely acknowledge, let alone concern themselves with. Yet interestingly, for the highborn and nobility, there is also an apparent requirement to at least try to maintain a mask of outward civility. The ecclesiarchy, with its rigid doctrines and moral scrutiny, wields significant influence over the Imperium's upper echelons, and nobles are not exempt. So to preserve their standing and favour within imperial society, they must tread somewhat carefully, ensuring that their private indulgences do not outwardly provoke the wrath of the clergy. However, should a noble's actions attract public drama or scandal, the path to redemption lies in private apology and appeasement. Penance can seemingly be bought with expensive jewels, sworn promises, or a show of deep, if superficial, remorse. In this way, the nobility can buy absolution for their transgressions, showing that they are, in many ways, immune to even the power and influence of the ecclesiarchy. Understanding the nature of the nobility in the Imperium requires acknowledging that while nobles are indeed a rare and privileged minority, their presence is all too common across the countless worlds and void stations that make up the Imperium of Man. These noble and imperial houses span the spectrum of the Imperium and can be found on almost every classification of planet engrossed in any society. From void-shielded, air-conditioned caves on feral worlds to the majestic stone keeps on feudal worlds and massive garden palaces on pleasure worlds, nobles really are everywhere. However, for our purposes, we must consider population density as a crucial factor in understanding the life of a truly average noble. So, let's narrow our gaze to hive worlds. Yes, hive worlds, with their teeming masses and intense socio-political divisions, serve as the key reference point, even if they are a bit cliché. Even though such worlds make up but a fraction of the inhabited planets in the Imperium, their dense populations force us to consider the reality of average noble life within the context of a hive world. On such worlds, nobles live with incredible freedom, in massive floating estates, secluded mountain manors, or perched atop towering hive spires that pierce the smog-choked skies. Beneath them, they own the world, or at least all that is worth owning. Mines that burrow deep into the planet's crust to bring forth precious minerals, and whole districts of factories and manufactorums that churn out endless supplies to build their wealth and feed the Imperium's war machine. Their reach extends further still, with ownership of intervoid shipping companies that transport goods across sectors and systems, transport companies that control the movement of millions of workers and materials, casinos and nightclubs, bars and restaurants, and theatres that host performances for the cultured few. Even law enforcement and security services that work to bring order to society are often themselves under noble influence or control. The dominance of the nobility, however, is not sustained by mere currency or market control. It is rather deeply rooted in a web of alliances, deals, and unspoken understandings with other noble houses and imperial agencies. These relationships are the true currency of power, where promises or vast sums of wealth representing lifetimes of earnings for the average citizen are casually exchanged with a handshake in the hidden backrooms where the real business of the Imperium is conducted. Intelligence is the lifeblood of these negotiations, gathered through a network of private eyes, the indiscretions of drunken nobles, and the secrets shared in soft pillow talk. Every piece of information, no matter how trivial, is a potential weapon in the grand game that is social and political manipulation. Marriages, rarely are they about love for the highborn. Such sentiments are secondary, if not entirely irrelevant. Instead, these unions are carefully negotiated treaties designed to consolidate power, forge new alliances, and publicly cement these bonds in the eyes of their peers and their subjects. The ceremonies themselves are grand affairs, each detail carefully planned to project the strength and wealth of the families involved. Children? You make it sound as if the highborn love them or something. Well, perhaps they do, but that sentiment is very much secondary to their true value. The offspring of nobility are incredibly vital, far more than mere heirs. They are the most trusted individuals to further the family's legacy. For who else, if not your own blood, can you truly trust? Children of the highborn are assets, pure and simple. They are keys to unlocking new alliances or bargaining chips to secure greater favour. From the moment they can walk, they are groomed for this role. They learn to navigate the treacherous waters of high society, and by the time they reach adulthood, they are well versed in the ways of influence and control, capable of taking up the mantle and continuing the family's legacy. Anyway, it's no secret that nobles can be up to no good, dabbling in corruption and stirring up trouble behind closed doors. It's almost expected, given the nature of their power and privilege. But let's not forget that these same nobles, despite their depravity and moral flexibility, can bear real responsibilities, roles that, while often ceremonial, are still somewhat crucial to the continued functioning of their planets, and maybe just the Imperium as a whole. These responsibilities, as shouldered by planetary governors and sector lords, are not just window dressing. In many cases, the ceremonial roles nobles play are deeply entwined with the governance and stability of their worlds. When a noble takes part in a grand parade or a triumphal march, they aren't just flaunting their status and prestige. No, they're embodying the glory of humanity and acting as a living symbol of what the Imperium stands for in these dark times. These spectacles are designed to inspire awe and reverence, to remind the teeming masses of the potential of the human species, its divine right to rule the stars. The sight of a noble in full regalia, flanked by banners and surrounded by the trappings of power, is a strong, if temporary, distraction from the woes of the average citizen, and is also a potent reminder of the Imperium's might and the potential that lies within the species, if only all continue to serve, obey, and do their part, however small. And beyond the ceremonial, nobles often also hold significant administrative or military responsibilities. They may govern entire sectors, planets, continents, hives, or districts where they oversee the production quotas essential to meeting the ever-demanding imperial tithe. Failure to meet these quotas doesn't just mean a loss of prestige and power. Entire populations might be purged for a noble's failure in this regard, or a world might find itself cut off from trade routes or put under new, harsh administration as punishment. These nobles also sit on councils that make decisions of planetary or even sector-wide importance. In these councils, the future of entire worlds can be decided with the flick of a quill or the whisper of a word. A single vote might determine the allocation of vital resources, the appointment of a new military commander, or the fate of a rebellious population. Votes in such situations are rarely cast without careful calculation. Backroom deals and hidden alliances often determine the outcome long before the council convenes, with nobles jockeying for position, trading votes like currency, and ensuring that their own interests are served. Many nobles also fulfill military roles or even command their own private armies, forces bound by loyalty not to the Imperium per se, but rather to their patron. Whispers even persist though unproven, of course, of certain sects within the nobility even seeking out Xenos mercenaries to bolster their ranks. An unthinkable heresy, to be sure. But on the fringes, in quieter sectors where the light of the Emperor's gaze is dim and perils surround, who can truly say? Anyway, in times of conflict, these private armies can tip the scales, ensuring that the nobles' will is enforced and their enemies suppressed. For all the authoritarian danger that this reality presents, these forces do have their uses beyond the basic assertion of power. They serve a dual purpose, in fact, acting as instruments of both control and protection. In the urban hellscape that is a hive city, these private armies can be mobilized to suppress riots, to quash rebellions, and to mercilessly hunt down and purge mutant uprisings before they can threaten the delicate balance of things. So, what does a day look like for the average noble? Well, one might begin their morning in the quiet luxury of their estate, their mind fresh and already pouring through the complexities of their holdings, checking and monitoring their stock portfolios, issuing commands to their stewards, all before gliding through the city in their grav car en route to the next rejuvenate treatment. Their morning duties completed, one might indulge in a refreshing brunch within the sterile confines of an air-conditioned biodome floating up in their world's atmosphere. Here they are surrounded by beauty, by art, by life that has been so carefully curated to suit their tastes. Here, or perhaps in gilded salons or opulent boardrooms, they meet with their peers. They discuss matters of state, of power, of looming threats and pacts, treaties and alliances. As day gives way to evening, the true excitement of a noble's life begins. They attend exclusive operas or lose themselves in the anonymity of a masquerade ball. The casinos, too, call to them, those glittering dens of vice where they gamble away fortunes that could feed cities, risking it all on the turn of a card or the roll of a die. And when the night is at its blackest, they return to their estates, where the final indulgences of the day await. Behind locked doors, far from prying eyes, the nobility revel in their most wicked desires. Their spouses, their servants, even the servitors who serve them with such mindless commitment, they are all fair game. The servitors, those poor lobotomized husks, are prized in this regard for their ability to endure and recover from the horrors inflicted upon them, their lack of will and humanity making them the perfect tools for the enacting of the nobility's most depraved acts. And when it is done, when they have drained their last drops of pleasure and ate their fill, they slip beneath their silk sheets to rest. They close their eyes and wait for the dawn of a new day, for the cycle to begin anew. So, what is life like for the average noble? Well, it is a life spent hiding behind the mask of elegance while wielding the blade of cruel indifference. The average noble, if such a term can even be applied, is a creature of paradoxes. They are the undisputed masters of their domains, yet prisoners of their own ambitions, forever striving for more while living in constant fear of the fall from grace. Every decision, every alliance, every whispered word in the dimly lit corridors of power is driven by an insatiable hunger for more. More influence, more wealth, more prestige. But with each step up the ladder, the air grows thinner, and the fall from grace becomes ever more terrifying. They are the patrons of the arts, commissioning grand works that glorify their reigns and immortalize their names, yet they are also the suppressors of true creativity, the stiflers of any voice that dares to challenge the status quo. They are the keepers of tradition, enforcers of the old ways, yet they must continually adapt to the ever-shifting tides of war and politics. These nobles are the guardians of humanity's legacy, the architects of its future, but in their hands this legacy is both a blessing and a curse. For they are also the most perfect examples of humanity's inherent flaws: greed, arrogance, the insatiable hunger for power. Their lives are a constant performance, a delicate balance between decadence and duty, indulgence and restraint, power and humility. Every day is a new act in a grand drama where the roles they play are dictated by the whims of fate and the machinations of rivals. These nobles are both the inheritors of ancient legacies and also the products of a rotting empire. They are both the shining beacons of imperial greatness and the stark reminders of its inevitable decay. In the end, the life of a noble is a life lived in the shadow of the Imperium's glory and its doom. A life of contradictions that, for all its splendor, is as fragile as the porcelain masks they wear. They are the architects of their own fate, yet they are as much the victim of the Imperium's slow inevitable decline as any of the trillions who slave away tirelessly under its rule. Anyway, thanks for watching. Dystopian Chimp, out.